When it comes to government contracts, recent events have highlighted the need for the legislature to redesign the methods by which the state executes contracts. Now, I have somewhat of an advantage having served as our state treasurer for 2 terms, for 8 years. I've run a state agency, and so I recognize some of the challenges that our agency heads run into when trying to make good, solid decisions for the taxpayers. And so I want to point out and be very clear, while changes in law cannot and will not prevent bad actors from defrauding taxpayers, changes can be made to tighten controls and bring more transparency to the process. Our proposals this year will include changing the makeup of the Contract Review Board. We currently have a group of agency directors, and from an appearance standpoint, it appears that it's just the fox guarding the henhouse. But while I have great respect for many of our agency directors, we must avoid conflicts of interest by appointing private sector members to this board. In addition, I believe we need greater legislative oversight in the procurement process. I will recommend that the board provide copies of the minutes of their meetings to the chairman of the Accountability, Efficiency, and Transparency Committees. I will propose that they provide copies of any proposals related to personal and professional services contract policies to these committees at least 15 days before voting on such proposals. And I will propose that they provide quarterly reports on all sole source contracts executed by state agencies. I was proud to support legislation in 2014 that implemented and codified the disclosure and transparency recommendations of the peer committee report entitled Contracting with State Agencies. I believe that every government contract should be easy to find and searchable on the Transparency Mississippi website. Taxpayers should be able to see vendors and subcontractors who are performing work for the public benefit. Fiscal transparency, however, does not stop with contracting. We need to shine the light on agency spending habits. First, we need to discontinue the archaic practice of giving agencies a blank check to spend money outside their normal appropriations. While this escalation authority provides flexibilities to agencies which manage large amounts of federal funds, it is not necessary to include in most agency appropriations, and in fact oftentimes leads to mischief. Secondly, agencies, boards, commissions, and other entities of government collect a myriad of fines, fees, and assessments. We should require all agencies to disclose their funding source by providing a list of all fees, fines, and taxes they assess or collect, explain the basis for those collections, and the statutes that allow them to levy such fines. Recent events have shown that agencies have kept funding sources outside state coffers, and we must identify and eliminate such practices. Finally, I believe we should get a handle on the practice of state employees retiring from government work, yet keeping their job under the guise of a contract worker. In this scenario, workers are receiving both a paycheck from the state and monthly retirement benefits. I will push for greater oversight of these types of workers. I propose prohibiting agencies from paying contract workers unless those workers meet the federal definition for independent contractor as set forth by the Internal Revenue Service. I also believe that recent events on the Mississippi Gulf Coast show more transparency is needed at public hospitals. The boards of public hospitals, which are supported by taxpayer dollars, should operate in the sunlight so employees, patients, and taxpayers know the level of medical care and fiscal management are operating effectively. That is why this year I will support a bill for open meetings for public hospital boards. Now, I want to be clear. It goes without saying This is applicable to the management practices of the hospital and not to the patient records.